In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at multiple major storms crossing the nation, bringing severe weather and snowfall, as well as heavy flooding rainfall. There's going to be multiple major storms, so let's just dive into things. And as we take a look, we can see that by tomorrow afternoon, I want to just move towards it. We're going to have more storminess on the way, especially in the south central states, all the way up through portions of the mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, and the southeast here. So southeast, mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley there, as well as some of the deeper south and the south central states. Our worst area for thunderstorms is going to be in here across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, southern Missouri into Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, as well as portions of Illinois and Kentucky. We do have some snowfall on the back end of this one for New Mexico. Some storminess across the northwest here, including snowfall and rainfall for certain areas, and then a couple of rain showers around a weaker 1005 low pressure system over Canada. Let's just take this towards Wednesday on the 10th, and things get a lot more intense by this point. These storms across the south central states are going to get worse as we have a low pressure system forming, 996 over Arkansas. Bad thunderstorms out ahead of this one and underneath it for states like Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, into Alabama, and even Tennessee. Although we can't rule out thunderstorm activity as far back west as Texas and Oklahoma, areas northward like Kansas there, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. Thunderstorms are going to be a big possibility, but around this low and underneath it is going to be the main area to watch. We will take a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks at the end of this video, so keep that in mind as well. Let's move towards Thursday, and we see this low strengthens up to a 985 over Michigan, and this is really going to unlock a lot of thunderstorm potential for many more states like Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida there. So a majority of the eastern states seeing precipitation and even the chance of severe weather. Your main areas to watch is going to be across the Ohio Valley and portions of the mid-Atlantic, as well as in the southeast here along this cold front. There's a cold front somewhere in here. It's just very disorganized, and there's widespread storms happening by this point, so it's going to be hard to pinpoint the main areas of concern if there's just precipitation everywhere. That's going to be the hard part here, but we do have ingredients available to us that really indicate severe weather, especially this shot of cold air moving in from the west of this system and this warm air mass kind of moving in towards that low. So your low is right in the middle of all that, and this is going to cause a cold front to want to develop and a warm front that is already present. This is going to be a pretty intense storm, and I think the biggest thing is going to be how widespread that rainfall is out ahead of this thunderstorm activity. Let's say it's a little bit more dry out ahead of the thunderstorm activity. I think that severe weather risk goes up. So there's a lot of variables at play here. And by Friday, we have a 984 over eastern Canada. Some storms diving southward with the cold air, likely more so to be showers than anything. And some thunderstorms still ongoing for the northeast here is how I see things. Look at how this warm air is surging out west and for some of the central states. Really going to get warm and dry out west while this cold and messy weather moves eastward by Friday. But by Saturday, we already see a warming trend in the east. All of this warm air that is really built into the west is now spreading eastward. So we see this kind of transition taking place, and we have storms moving onshore to the west, which is going to be indicative of a trophy pattern, which is going to help this warm air to move even quicker towards the east. So let's see what Monday brings, but as expected here, the warm air is already arriving, and we have cold air starting to try to dive down for the west coast. So again, warm air prevailing for the central and the eastern states now, with that cold, messy weather now over the west. So a huge flip over the course of just a day or two. Definitely an intense swing. This is by Monday afternoon, and we see that there is even colder and a lot of stormy weather out west. And again, that warmth is still prevailing for the central and the eastern states by this point. Don't be surprised if we still see some western snowfall. It is only mid-April, and for the west, that is nothing that's going to hold back the snowfall by any means. Typically, this time of year is still pretty much wintertime for them. By Tuesday afternoon, a couple of interesting things happening. First off, that cold is continuing to build out west. So your jet stream doing something along these lines here. A storm building into the north central states with potentially some severe weather and thunderstorm implications here across the Midwest, Plains, and Ohio Valley, as well as the Great Lakes. So we're going to be watching for that potential for early next week. By Wednesday here, what we see on the 17th is this warmth is now centered over the east. So day over day, it seems to be actually getting warmer in the east here. And this cold air mass is just expanding further and further out west. Now bringing some pretty big snowstorms, not only for central Canada here, a widespread heavy snowfall event there, but also for some of the Rockies, as we have a low pressure system over southern Utah. So states like Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and California could be seeing some snowfall from this system. The very next day on Thursday, things are getting interesting as we have this low over Kansas now. Still some snowfall for the Rockies and western plains. And then some showers out ahead into the north of that low. If we get this swinging cold front effect, we will have severe weather to track underneath things once again. GFS model, let's see where we get agreement and disagreement. We get this first storm, no surprise, we have perfect agreements. We're going to glance right past that. We do get this interesting system that wants to set up kind of early on Sunday, late on Saturday time frame. 1004 here over Iowa, bringing some showers and potentially thunderstorm activity. This quickly through overnight into the next day dives into the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and portions of the Northeast. Very minor, but could bring impacts to a region or two here of the United States. For the evening on Sunday here, we do have thunderstorms and showers across some of the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic from this system. So nothing major as far as rainfall is concerned or wind, but there could be some thunderstorms in here or heavier showers. Keep that in mind for later on the day on Sunday, overnight into Monday. And really these hang around into Monday afternoon. We still have some isolated and scattered activity happening here now across the deeper south into the Mid-Atlantic. So keep that in mind. This storminess is moving into the west, just like on the European model. And by Tuesday, we see this warm pattern really picking back up for the central and the eastern states, although there's a little bit more cold here in the northeast than what that previous European model is calling for. And this cold is having a harder time developing, although there is some of it still there. So that is our kind of our initial disagreement that we're seeing. But by Wednesday, we pretty much end up on the same trajectory regardless of what happens. 991 bringing snowfall to a lot of the Rockies and Canada there. A lot of cold air, and your warmth is centered over the central and now the eastern states. Again, excluding the northeast here that's still trying to hold on to some of that cold. As we keep going, we stick in this warmer pattern in the east. Thunderstorm chances all the time, as that's going to become more common as we approach May timeframe. We have a 998 over New York, 1003 over Tennessee and Kentucky, and this is aiding to bring widespread thunderstorm activity from the deeper south through the southeast, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and northeast here, even 1002 down by Mexico. So you have three low pressure systems kind of working in tandem to bring thunderstorm activity to many states. And keep this in mind, this is going to look a lot different. This is 15 days out. But I wanted to show this as an example as what these kind of more summer-like setups could look like. We expect weaker lows just like this, but widespread thunderstorm activity with anywhere from a general thunderstorm risk to a slight risk expected on days like this. Sometimes it gets a little bit worse than that, but these are why we get constant general thunderstorm risks and marginal risks during the summer, because it's not intense storm systems. However, they are happening daily and for very many states, so we should start to see more events like this mixed in with those stronger lows that bring the bigger threats of severe weather a little less frequently. Let's take a look at the total precipitation here. And as you can see, the east is still expecting a lot of activity all the way from the central states to the east, I should say. Keep in mind the southeast coast looks to stay a little bit quieter, as every single event that's moving through is trying to just move straight northward. So we never end up getting the worst of these impacts. This could change, but this looks to be a quieter area. I am in here as well. And we don't really need the rainfall, so it's not that big of a deal. Quite honestly, I think the bigger impacts is going to be for these areas seeing more precipitation, as most of these areas are not dry by any means. The west is picking things back up a little bit as far as precipitation is concerned, but still really quiet compared to what we've been seeing in recent weeks and months, of course, as these areas tend to be wetter during the winter and drier during the summer. much so the opposite of the east that tends to be drier during the winter and much wetter during the summer. Let's take a look at the total snowfall. We're only going to take a look at the European model because they both agree perfectly. The only area seeing snowfall is the mountainous west. The central states for the most part and the eastern states for the most part seeing nothing on both models. A really key indication that we have fully moved into springtime, at least from a weather standpoint. I know that calendar-wise and meteorologically-wise, we are in springtime, but we are now officially in the spring pattern, which does vary, obviously, from year to year. But this time around, we are here. It took a while, but we made it. Now, the temperature pattern, this is the very end, but I think I'm going to just glance past this. Hardly any cold in the east outside of this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday here, and then by Monday we have warmth in the east, and we're going to move it in a minute, but what we're going to see is this trough wants to stay really consistent, and that is a negative PNA there. It's really hard to write with this, but negative PNA out west, and this helps for warm air to prevail for the central and the eastern states throughout this upcoming pattern. Let's put it into motion. And really, that doesn't change even by mid to late week next week. So expect long time warmth. And now I'm starting to get comfortable having the plants outside for you gardeners, just so you know. With the warmer than normal pattern expected, I'm zone 8. So I think for like tomatoes, zucchini, all that stuff, cucumbers, it's usually supposed to be like April 18th, about what we're looking at here. But with the above average temperatures leading up to that, after this weekend, I'm going to feel very comfortable having them out there. Here in Virginia, we're not expected to drop below 50 after this weekend. So if that is the case, we are moving very close to when those plants will be safe outdoors. Don't take that as official garden guidance. However, it is looking quite positive for a little bit of an early planting for some of those warmer weather crops. Now, for the Storm Prediction Center, we do have an enhanced risk today. In the orange there. Let's actually break it down from lowest to highest. The lighter green is your general thunderstorm risk, where we don't expect severe weather. It is always possible. Even the white areas, it's possible technically, but we do expect thunderstorms to be around for these lighter green areas. The darker green is where we start to see some severe weather chances and usually isolated reports of that happening. The yellow area is anywhere from like isolated to scattered about severe weather reports. Typically stronger storms in there are pretty common. And then the enhanced risk is when you start to see anywhere from scattered to widespread, where we could have a band of severe weather moving through that entire area, or at least most of it. That is usually what you expect to see in an enhanced risk day. Day 2 here. Day 2, better yet, here. It doesn't move too much, just a little bit to the south. Same story here, though. Lighter green is going to be your general thunderstorms. The darker green is those isolated thunderstorms, or should I say severe weather reports. And then the yellow is going to be that isolated to scattered. And then again, a little bit more widespread in that orange for day 2 for the day tomorrow on Tuesday. Day 3 for the day on Wednesday here. Same story, except things have moved a little bit further east here now. It's moving very slowly, but the lighter green is no severe weather expected, but still slightly possible. Darker green, a little bit isolated in there. Yellow scattered about, and then the orange is where it becomes a little bit more widespread for portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama there. Now, for the extended outlook, we only have a day 4 outlook, and this is going to be for Thursday on April 11th. We do have an area where we expect a slight risk. So again, those scattered severe weather reports for eastern Kentucky, most of Ohio, and a little bit of western West Virginia, and then areas around the Florida Panhandle, southern 2/3 of Georgia, most of South Carolina, and then southern North Carolina there. Anyway, we will be showing these Storm Prediction Center outlooks every single day, just like we will for all of these models, as we do weather videos every single day. So be sure to subscribe for those daily uploads. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.